Gather round, my little adventurers, for a tale from long, long ago, when the seas were wild and the northern winds roared like mighty dragons. In a small wooden village on the snowy shores of Norway, there lived a young Viking boy named Leif. His home was a cozy place where the tall, white-capped mountains kissed the deep, dark sea. Leif's father was a brave and famous sailor. He often captained his longship, sailing with other Vikings to faraway lands. Sometimes they went to trade beautiful furs and amber, but other times they went to fight. Leif, however, was different from the other Viking boys. He didn't dream of battles and swords. Instead, he loved the smell of fresh-cut wood as he helped build boats. He enjoyed mending nets with the fishermen and, most of all, he loved listening to his grandmother's stories about the sparkling stars and magical kingdoms beyond the horizon. One crisp morning, a messenger rushed into the village, his breath making clouds in the cold air. The chieftain climbed onto a large rock and shouted, his voice echoing through the fjord. "The winds are right. We sail for England. Gather your swords and shields. We will fight for glory and riches." A great cheer erupted from the villagers. Axes were raised high, and songs of battle filled the air. But as the excitement grew, Leif's heart felt heavy, like a stone in his chest. He didn't want to fight. That evening, the fire crackled warmly in their longhouse, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Leif sat quietly, staring into the flames. His grandmother, with her kind, wrinkled eyes, sat beside him and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Leif," she said softly, her voice like a soothing melody, "true courage is not always found on the battlefield with a sword in your hand. Sometimes, my dear boy, it takes far more courage to choose peace when everyone else is calling for war." Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket. The next day, the entire village was a whirlwind of activity. Leif helped his father load the longships with supplies, barrels of salted fish, bundles of furs, and heavy chests. The gray waves of the North Sea crashed against the shore, and seagulls cried overhead as if bidding them farewell. The fleet of mighty dragon-headed ships set sail across the cold, misty sea. Leif stood proudly beside his father, his small, round wooden shield gleaming in the faint sunlight. After many days and nights of sailing under a sky full of stars, they finally reached the green coast of England. On the rolling hills above the beach, English soldiers stood waiting, their helmets shining, ready to defend their homes. A tense silence fell between the two armies. The wind howled, carrying the salty spray of the sea, and everyone waited, hearts pounding, for the first cry of attack. But then, something happened that no one expected. Leif's eyes scanned the line of soldiers, and he saw a young English boy, about his own age, standing near the front. The boy wasn't holding a sword or a spear. In his hands, he held a simple wooden flute. For a moment, their eyes met across the field. Leif saw the fear in the boy's face, and he thought, "Asterisk, he looks just like me." "He's scared too." Asterisk. The Viking chieftain raised his sword, and the battle cry was about to begin. Leif's father shouted, "Stay behind me, son." But Leif couldn't look away from the boy with the flute. Suddenly, the English boy lifted the instrument to his lips and began to play. A soft, trembling tune floated through the air, weaving through the wind like a gentle stream. The sound was so simple, so pure, and so sad. Everyone paused. The Viking warriors, with their axes raised, stopped in their tracks. The English soldiers lowered their bows. The music spoke a language everyone understood, language of peace, not war. Taking a deep breath, Leif stepped forward. He let his sword and shield fall to the sandy ground with a soft thud. In a voice much louder and braver than he thought he had, he shouted, "We don't have to fight." The Vikings turned, staring at him in disbelief. His father's eyes widened in surprise. Leif shouted again, his voice filled with a newfound strength. "Look! They have families, just like us. We came here for riches, but we can trade instead of taking. We can go home with peace, not with pain and sorrow." A long, heavy silence followed. Leif's father looked at his son, then at the frightened families huddled on the hill. He saw the truth in Leif's words. Slowly, he lowered his heavy sword. Seeing this, the English leader did the same. And just like that, the battle was over before it ever began. That evening was magical. Instead of fighting, the Vikings and the English shared food and laughter around a giant bonfire on the beach. The English boy played his flute again, and this time the Vikings joined in, tapping out rhythms on their shields and drums. They traded furs for woolen blankets, amber for honey, and learned a few words of each other's languages. When Leif and his father returned home, the villagers ran to greet them. "Did you win the war?" they asked eagerly. Leif smiled, his heart full. "There was no war to win," he replied. "There was only peace to make." His grandmother wrapped him in a proud, tight hug. "You see, my boy," she whispered, "your courage saved lives." That is the greatest victory of all. From that day on, Leif was known not as Leif the Fierce, but as Leif the Brave, the Viking who chose peace. His story was told for many years in both Norway and England, a timeless reminder that even the strongest warriors can have the gentlest hearts, and that true bravery is found in kindness. And that's the end of our story, little friends. Always remember, being brave isn't just about fighting. It's about choosing kindness and understanding, even when it's hard. If you love Leif's story, please give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more adventures, and tap that little bell so you never miss another story time with us. Thank you for listening.